He's proud, he's arrogant, he's often angry, he's self-obsessed.
He's rather Thatcherite, isn't he?
I think he makes Mrs. Thatcher seem also almost Marxist.
Ding, boing, boing, boing. That's right. If you can sort of keep it light.
You have to learn an awful lot of skills, fighting being one of the more obvious ones.
Yes, and for someone like me who didn't go to drama school, it sometimes comes as a bit of a shock. I'm 45 and I'm not very fit, and to play this part I've stopped smoking, I've stopped drinking, I don't drink tea or coffee anymore, I'm even vegetarian, and I go to a gym 3 times a week, and I do that fight every day, so I've done my best.
Start fight is really sort of like Greg's attack and you taking over. And it's the way with which you can get the speed of receiving Greg's attack, beating it away and starting the next stroke, that dictates how the rest of the fight goes.
What point is that?
Okay, it's as you knock his sword away from the shield.
Yeah.
It's that moment there.
Yeah, well, let's do it again. Because there's a stroke that isn't quite right. Away.
Okay, good. Now, say there's a point there.
What didn't happen there for some reason? I think it's the parry above my head that's... Bomb. It's all over the place.
And you're parrying with a shield.
Well, I think what it is not helping is that I keep parrying on an angle. I should parry...
Yes,
So
basically if you parry that way, so that you're looking underneath the edge of the shield.
How much do these shields actually weigh?
Well, they weigh a ton. I think these shields weigh an enormous amount.
£7.
Yeah, £7.
£7.
£9.
£9. £7. I mean,
It's a lot for
an average
carry,
air
isn't
rifle,
it?
Sort of being
£7
round.
carried in the field.
Especially when you have to lift them over your head. They're quite heavy.
We do that one again. Just reply, beat, cut to the head, so it really suddenly starts moving from Ian's point of view. But do you want to look at that head one?
All right, well, let's do the sequence again.
Perhaps what it needs is for me not to land on it, but just to land up and then be around onto the next.
Well, yes. I mean, if you can set the rhythm going by the fact that it's the moment where you parry with the shield, right? Take the blow, ding, boing, boing, boing. That's right. If you can sort of keep it light so that suddenly the pressure is on Greg, leading right up to knocking him into the ground.
That's right.
Because you've had sort of couple of fairly pretty sequences, and it suddenly starts to get a bit uglier. Let's try that. On to the next bit. Just do the next sequence, okay? That's it. Right leg up stage. Good. Right leg down stage.
Close. No, I could knock him out with my shield.
Term. And I think to remove that is asinine, it really is. And, okay. It seems you've waited a long time to come substantially to the National Theatre.
I was one of its earliest members, you know, with Laurence Olivier at the Old Vic before the National moved into this building on the South Bank. But I was a young actor then and thought the competition was too strong from Derek Jacobi and John Stride and Ronald Pickup and Michael York. So I left to do a bit of freelance work, really. I've always liked companies, and I've worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company for 4 or 5 years at a time. What appeals to me about the National now, at this stage in my life, is that it's quite close to where I live in London. One disadvantage of the Royal Shakespeare Company is that you have to live in the middle of a village, and I like to live in a city like London. Feel that one's work is related to the community. And of course, this is a wonderfully equipped theatre. It's got resources for public funds and public attention, which make it very attractive to an actor.
You've got a remarkable line of parts here, haven't you? You've just finished Venice Preserved, which must have been the kind of part you dream of doing.
Well, it's the sort of play, obviously, that only gets done in a subsidised theatre, and it's a risk even then. But with Peter Gill directing and Jane Lapotaire, Michael Pennington in the cast, it seemed to be a good idea and was well received. But I actually came to do the next play, which is still on, Wild Honey, Michael Frayn's adaptation of Chekhov's earliest play, written when Chekhov was only about 18, and greatly reshaped by Michael Frayn into a wonderful farce. I think it's a farce. Well, it's also a comedy, and there are hints of tragedy. I don't know. That's what makes it a wonderful play to do. Amongst all these grasses here, we sit in the middle of a short Russian summer and go slightly mad with love. That was the joy of being able to create, almost for the first time in this country, a major character by a major playwright. Of course, Platonov has been played by other people, but not in this version.
And this version is very different from previous versions, isn't it? He really does orchestrate the comedy in the second half.
It's a machine would be an unfair word to apply to something as delicate as this. But it's beautifully crafted. And during the rehearsals, we didn't change a single word of the dialogue. We didn't have to reshape it, tidget about, change the order of any of the words or the speeches. Michael Frayn, at his lonely typewriter, had worked out every single laugh. Well, perhaps not every single one. We've added a few, perhaps. But no, my praise for him couldn't be high enough. It's a wonderful piece of work.
You clearly do have the ability to work at the highest level here, and you're now taking on what I suppose is one of the 2 or 3 greatest challenges for an actor, which is Coriolanus.
Yes. Well, it's a really difficult part. I mean, there are plays with long parts, like Hamlet, which in a sense are very easy because you can mould Hamlet almost to your own character, and an audience, whether they've seen it or not before, will be interested and entertained. Coriolanus is not like that at all. He is resolute in one thing, and you really have to land full square on the point like a helicopter, and I'm hovering around it at the moment, but eventually I suppose I will land and feel I'm secure. But he's also not a very attractive person, putting it mildly. When I played Macbeth, I managed to get a few jokes out of the script. Very few jokes in Coriolanus as far as the main part's concerned. He's proud, he's arrogant, he's often angry, he's self-obsessed. But of course, in 1984, we can look at him and say, of course, he's deeply unhappy. It's all his mother's fault. He doesn't really have any friends.
He's rather Thatcherite, isn't he?
Thatcherite? I think he makes Mrs. Thatcher seem also almost Marxist. No, he's very far to the right. No, he's beyond politics, really, and that's one of the problems of the play. He's a great fighter. He's a gallant man of war. We see him in a long stretch of fighting with the opposing armies, absolutely in his element, like a bird, an eagle in the sky. Everything achieved, and then the eagle comes to land, and of course it flops around. It is ungainly and just wants to be up in the sky again and knocks people out of the way with his big wings. That's Coriolanus, and he should never have got involved in politics. But his mother wanted to get him there, and his friends of the family wanted to put him up as a great totem pole, which Rome, in the end, refuses to worship, and he has to leave. It's a wonderful story. But it's not a cosy play, and it's rigorous. How many demands it'll make on the audience remains to be seen. We've got a lot of them sitting on the stage with us, which is a problem I hope it'll be a joy to solve.
It's quite hard work, obviously, in rehearsal. Those fight scenes are not easy, are they?
Well, I'm 45 and I'm not very fit, and to play this part I've stopped smoking, I've stopped drinking. I don't drink tea or coffee anymore. I'm even vegetarian, and I go to a gym 3 times a week, and I do that fight every day. So I've done my best. And I have seen Coriolanus, as you know, who've just done a couple of strokes with a wooden sword, and that's been that. I think the fighting is a real part of the excitement of the play, so we've got to do it as well as possible.
I think that's a heroic endeavour on the part of the actor. It is a very demanding profession, though, isn't it? Because you you don't just have to do cerebral roles. It isn't just Chekhov and Ibsen. You have to learn an awful lot of skills, fighting being one of the more obvious ones.
Yes, and for someone like me who didn't go to drama school, it sometimes comes as a bit of a shock. I've done all sorts of fighting in various plays, but you don't have to do it for very long. And if you've got a good choreographer, which is basically what a fight director is, like Michael Ransom, you feel pretty secure. And as he's always saying, the audience only sees the fight once, and therefore it's generally more impressive than it would be if they had a clinical look at it. Yes, an actor does have to be fit. His voice has to be in good control. If you're working in a theatre the size of the Olivier Theatre here with 1,100 people and a lot of volume, the voice must be able to ring out on occasion. I'm very grateful for it because I'm a lazy person, and although I don't mind working hard for my work, if this weren't my work and I were, say, what, I don't know, an insurance salesman, I think probably I would be overweight and not very happy physically, and therefore probably not very happy in any other way. So no, I do feel invigorated by work.
There's another side of your work here which you don't share with many members of the acting side of the profession, and that's your involvement with company direction and leadership and administration. What's the appeal of all that to you?
Well, when Sir Peter asked me to come here, I was very pleased, but said if I'm going to come, I'd like to come for a length of time, and not just as an actor, because I think there's perhaps something that an actor with my experience and my interests can help contribute to the company beyond just acting. Awful lot of actors employed here, a lot of other people as well, 750 of us I think in this building. I'm not sure that everyone relates as fully as possible to the work being done, and I think that's wrong. A National Theatre should be helping to create a company feel, particularly amongst the actors, which expresses itself on the stage, and not necessarily a style of acting, but an enthusiasm, a collective enthusiasm which is infectious for the audience. I know that from my own experience in the past. So that challenge thrown down to Peter, he returned one to me and said, all right, you're an associate director if you want to be. And so now with my old friend Edward Petherbridge, who I first met with under Laurence Olivier at the Old Vic.
Later helped form the Actors Company with.
That's right, the Actors Company, which was a company where the actors were in total control of the whole organisation. We're now setting up a company within the National Theatre structure where perhaps we will return to some of those ideas which we first practiced 10 years ago. I've no intention of becoming a director of plays. I will be rather a producer of plays, a manager who will be as benevolent and benign as possible to the group of people who are working with me, not for me. And I intend, like Edward does, to act in all the plays. And once we've got a company set up who we've invited together, then I hope they will take control of themselves. I feel that's the contribution I can best make, is to devolve a little bit of the National Theatre power away from the directors and give it to the actors and see what they can make of it. If they make a hash of it, well, then that must be the end of that.
It is the first time since Olivier departed, isn't it, where an actor has taken major responsibility within this company?
In this company, certainly, yes, and with the exception perhaps of Anthony Quayle, an actor-manager who preceded Peter Hall, interesting that, historically, at the Memorial Theatre at Stratford, and perhaps Stephen Burkoff and one or two others on the fringe in England. There are no actors running theatres in this country. Isn't that astonishing? I mean, 100 years ago, all the theatres were run by actors and nobody knew what a director was. And even on the continent, there are a few actors, not many. But I don't want to be an actor-manager. I don't want to draw all the attention to myself or make all the decisions myself. That's not my talent at all. But to share it and to gain strengths from every corner of the enterprise, I think is the best way of doing it.
Lovely.